Hi guys, it's Kelly and you're watching That Smells Divine. Today I'm sharing with you 15 fragrances that are absolutely blowing my mind. I have been so excited to share this video with you. I just got back yesterday from a weekend in Texas Hill Country doing some wine tasting for my 40th birthday. And to be honest, I'm feeling a little bit tired, but I have not been able to stop thinking about this video because that's how excited I am. So without further ado, let's get into it. Before we do, if you haven't already, please subscribe, like this video, comment below. I'd love to engage with you, get to know you better. Thanks so much for being here. All right, we're gonna start with number one. Number one, Initio Addictive Vibration. So let's talk about it. Just dig it out here. So I first discovered Initio from the website Scent Split, which if you watched my previous video, you would have seen me feature Scent Split on there. Initio is a very, very special house. I do not own anything full size from this house because they are very hugely priced and definitely worth it, but it's just something I haven't gotten to yet. I have sampled almost every single fragrance from their line, almost, and every single one I want in my collection. These are just the most gorgeous fragrances. I don't know really how to explain the vibe of the house. If you know, you know. It's kind of like they're the most magical, like high vibrational fragrances I think I've ever smelled in my life. So I feel like these fragrances could aid you in like quantum shifting and like timeline jumping and all this crazy shit. Like they just feel magical, right? So the one that I'm featuring today is called Addictive Vibration, and this one is $330 a bottle. Let me just tell you what they say about this on their website. Okay, so on their website they describe this as unveiling a body of lustful scent in a magma of flesh and fiery blend of musk and honey, orange blossom, and vanilla orchid. And that is kind of exactly what this smells like. So I'm just gonna put a little dab on my finger. I feel like, yeah, I guess only a couple of these are in dabbers today. I think I mentioned in a previous video that I'm breaking up with dabbers after I get through all of these because they're just really annoying. Oh my God, like, I don't even know how to explain these fragrances to you guys. I think that if you're like new to fragrances, you've never smelled Initio and you're not afraid of like heady, like really deep, complex, beast mode fragrances, just go get as many samples as you can. This is just absolutely gorgeous. Like, I don't even know how to describe this. It smells like you're falling in love on a summer day. It smells like memories. It smells like all of their fragrances bring up this sense of nostalgia where you're like, this reminds me of this feeling or this time, but you can't quite put your finger on it, and it smells like otherworldly. That's the only way. I'm gonna do a whole video on Initio because I feel like I could just blab on and on in a million circles about this house. Yeah, but an Addictive Vibration, it's one of my favorites. I have like 7 favorites from the house, but this is the one right now that I'm like totally geeking out on. So that's number one, Initio. I don't know if it's Initio or Initio, but whichever, Addictive Vibration. Okay, coming in at number 2, we have a fragrance from 1969. This fragrance is for my tobacco lovers. This is called Chinese Tobacco, and this has notes of tobacco, coriander, and oud. Again, with the dabber. This is beautiful. It's like, it's really good. It's like a beautiful blend of tobacco and oud, and the coriander is just kind of like seamlessly like interwoven throughout it. If you plan on buying a bottle of this, if you sample it and you love it and you plan on buying a bottle of it, keep it away from any tobacco loving partners because they will steal it. This is part of the reason why I haven't bought a full bottle. It just smells so, so, so good. It's like simple, but just perfectly done. Yeah, number 2, 1969 Chinese Tobacco. Okay, moving on to number 3. This is a fragrance I mentioned in a previous video. It's a new, well, it's not new to me. It's a newly rediscovered to me fragrance. And again, I have a story behind it. I'll tell it at a later day. I'm having a little bit of shyness around telling that story, so eventually I will. But this is Bottega Veneta. I got the decant from Royalty Scents last month, and I'm definitely gonna get a full bottle of this because it's incredible. It's really, really good. And I know I just reviewed this on a previous video, but I'm gonna do it again because it's delicious. Last time I reviewed it, I like swallowed it, and then I tried to take a sip of wine to like get rid of the taste, and it just ended up making like an even worse concoction in my mouth. So this time I'm gonna spray it far away, and we're not drinking wine today, so, well, at least not yet. Okay, so this is the Bottega Veneta EDP for her. It's got notes of sambac jasmine, plum, pink pepper, leather accord. This smells so good. Like, I don't know what it is about this fragrance. Every time I spray it, I'm just like, I don't know what it is, but it smells so good. Like, it kind of smells like one of my friend's mom's perfumes in the 80s, but like more modern, a little bit more edgy. It's just, it's so pretty, and like every waft you take brings up a different note. Like, it's just a circular exploration of all these different notes. I actually, like half an hour ago while I was preparing for this video, read some reviews that I had not read yet about this perfume on the Bottega Veneta website. And there were two people that said, one person said that it smelled multi-dimensional, which I was like, yeah. And then the other person said that they were like, I know this sounds weird, but this perfume smells like when you're in a dream. And I was like, oh my God, it does. Like, that's such a good explanation, description of what this smells like. It's just gorgeous. I feel like men could get away with wearing this too, especially because of the leather and the pink pepper. But I definitely feel like it's more of a feminine fragrance. It smells very like classy, like goddessy. Okay, so that's number 3, Bottega Veneta EDP for her. Moving on to number 4. You will hear me talk about this fragrance over and over and over and over again because it might be my favorite fragrance of all time. No, it's not my favorite fragrance of all time, but it's definitely in my top 5. This is Byredo Bal d'Afrique, and if you're into fragrance, then you know about this because I feel like this is just a classic. It's probably the most popular from the house at Byredo besides Mojave Ghost and Gypsy Waters. I have had a full-blown love affair with this perfume. So it started in Paris. I'll try to tell this story really quickly. It started in Paris in the summer of 2017. I was dead set on buying a full bottle of a fragrance while I was in Paris, and I went through one of their, it was like this huge department store. I can't remember the name of it. I can't even remember what district it was in. I remember I had to take like 3 different subways to get there, and I was lost, but I still found it, and I was all by myself, and I spent the entire afternoon smelling like every single perfume ever made, and I could not find, like, I would like 95% land on something and I'd be like, no, I don't love it enough, you know? And I was like dead set on holding out for the 100%. And then I found this and I was like, oh, this is it. So Bal d'Afrique has notes of African marigold, bergamot, buchu, cyclamen, violet, Moroccan cedarwood, and vetiver. So after I bought this in Paris, came home with it, I think I wore it one time out to dinner because I wanted to just, you know, keep it special. Sorry, my dog's scratching his butt in the background. Actually, he's scratching his neck. So then like 2 months later, my partner and I went to Tulum. It was our first time going there, and I brought this bottle with me. And it just like defined my Tulum experience. It's not something that you would think would work in like a hot, sweaty Mexican jungle setting, but it literally went so perfect with Tulum. Like, oh, I'm getting it in my mouth. It's got this like sweet kind of floral, kind of like, yeah, just like super sweet, kind of jammy, floral, woody. It's just, there's nothing else like this. I haven't smelled, I've heard that Moo, I think it's called Twist, smells similar to this, but I really don't think anyone could recreate this. I know that Dossier does a version. I haven't smelled it yet. Let me know in the comments if you've smelled the Dossier version, like how close it is. I can't imagine it being as good as this. This is like up there in my top 5 for life. Like, I definitely will buy another bottle when I get through this one. Definitely. Like, it's just such a good fragrance. I know you know. If you're a Byredo fan, you probably have this. I could keep talking about it for like 7 years, but I'm not. Moving on to number 5. Another one that's in like my top 10. So I mentioned this house in a previous video. It's a house that's no longer available in North America. So if you are interested in trying the scent that I'm about to mention, maybe go on Mercari. I've seen like samples. I've seen a couple times. I've seen some full bottles pop up, but Mercari, Poshmark. I know that some TJ Maxx's and Marshalls are also selling these, although I think that phase might be coming to an end. But this is Atelier Vanilla Insensé. I first discovered this fragrance in 2010, I want to say. And I wore it to my first time to Portland, Oregon. I went on a little girls trip up there, and it was like, I think it was Thanksgiving time, so it was kind of like cold and damp. It was Thanksgiving because we were there for Black Friday. And this was like the perfect scent. We went to this one bar and we were like all sitting outside around this fire pit, and it was cold out, and it was like such a perfect scent for that time. You'll come to learn that with me, I really associate scent with like experiences, memories, as we all do, but I almost also now that I know a little bit more about fragrance, I try to kind of like set the scene with a fragrance, which I think you guys might do as well. And I have a story about this, setting the scene, kind of based on my Portland experience. So I got this off of Mercari, and it came in this cute little sleeve. Let me see if I can get it off. So this is what the bottle looks like. Obviously this is a smaller size bottle. At the time, Mercari only had these small size bottles. I don't know, they might have bigger ones now, but this is gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. So it's a vanilla. Some people don't like Atelier. I love Atelier. So you might not appreciate this fragrance. So even if you are a vanilla lover, please don't blind buy it. With any of the Atelier fragrances, I feel like they're kind of polarizing. For some reason, some people love them and think they're masterpieces, and some people just think that they kind of underperform. I personally love them. So yeah, just make sure you get a sample first. Maybe just don't ever blind buy anything off of what I say, unless I say it's a safe blind buy, and then maybe still do your research. But this one, it's like a regular smoky vanilla, right? But then it also has lime, amber, and coriander in it. So it makes it like a little bit spicy. Yeah, it's unique because of that lime and coriander. It's like a citrusy vanilla. It's like a little zesty, a little fresh. I think you could wear this in the summer because of those other notes that are mixed in. This is just, I love this. It's so pretty. Like, I just kind of forget what I'm talking about and just wander off into the distance when I smell it because it's just so good. So when I was just talking about like creating experiences with your scent. So about a month and a half ago, maybe, my partner's family was visiting from New York. And because of that, we set up a whiskey tour at a local distillery here, Still Austin. If you live in Austin, go check out that distillery. They're amazing. And it was like a cold night. I knew we were gonna be like bundled up in sweaters, tasting whiskey in this like barrel room type setting, right? Like I knew what kind of experience we were gonna have, and I wanted to like match my scent with that experience. And so I chose this, which I think was like the perfect scent for that experience. And my partner was wearing Dossier's Woody Tobacco. I always get Woody Tobacco and Woody Rum confused. It's the one that's the dupe for Jazz Club. And if you haven't smelled Jazz Club yet, go check that out. We'll do more reviews on that kind of stuff later on. But the combo of the Dossier and this, like together, we smelled so good. And I said before we left the house, I was like, people are gonna comment on how good we smell. And within like 30 minutes of us being there, this girl that we had just met was like, y'all smell so good. Like, what are you guys wearing? And it was great. And it really like framed, it was such a perfect scent combo for whiskey tasting. So Atelier Vanilla Insensé at number 5. At number 6, we've got Dossier Floriental Marshmallow, which is now called Floral Marshmallow. Anything that was called Floriental before, they've now changed to a different name. I'm not sure why. Let me know in the comments if you do know. I'm sure I could just do some quick research and figure out, but that was a recent switch. So my bottles still have the Floriental on them. So this is Dossier's Floriental Marshmallow, aka Floral Marshmallow. This is delicious, and let me tell you, it's an almost exact dupe for Kilian Love Don't Be Shy, which I have a decant of that. I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison of those two because they smell, they're not an exact 100% match. They smell almost identical at the opening, and then they dry down differently. Kilian Love Don't Be Shy, I love it, but it does not last on me at all, whereas with this, I can get like 6 to 8 hours minimum, and it stays on my clothes for like days. I love this. I love this. Like, oh, this is so good. So I have a scent memory with this fragrance. Before I get into it, I'll tell you the notes. So we've got orange blossom, marshmallow, honeysuckle, and neroli. I don't really get the honeysuckle. Let me give it a little spray. Yeah, the orange blossom and marshmallow, like the marshmallow is a little bit heavier than the orange blossom, but you can definitely smell both from the top. And the neroli is like in the background. I don't get the honeysuckle. Let me know in the comments if you get honeysuckle from this. I do not. However, let me tell you about my scent memory with this. So I am an 80s baby, and from the ages of 1997 to 2000, I was spending pretty much every weekend at underground raves, wearing my like big UFO pants. If anyone went through this period, you probably know what I'm talking about. And it was like such a fun time of my life. I had so much fun. I just danced my face off every weekend. So much fun. During that time period, I had just gotten my license. And I had just got my license, and my mom at the time had just bought a convertible that she let me borrow to like drive all over New England to go to these raves and not come home till sunrise. Like, I don't know what my mom was thinking, honestly. Like, I should have gotten into so much trouble. But anyways, during that time period, I was wearing Juice Bar Cotton Candy, which was a body spray you could buy at Walmart. Who remembers Juice Bar Cotton Candy? You can get on eBay now for like $100. I have been like trying since I was 17 years old to find something that smells like that is still available. And I had given up. I had completely given up trying. And I bought this because I wanted to try the Kilian Love Don't Be Shy scent DNA without buying a full bottle of Kilian. And when I first smelled this, I was like, oh, that is the smell of my rave days. It literally smells exactly like it. Like, it transports me back. So whenever I spray this on, I just want to listen to like Bad Boy Bill or like some Speed Garage, whatever I was listening to back then. But yeah, this is like probably my top 5 for life. So get yourself a bottle of this if you like marshmallow scents. All right, moving on. I'm gonna like pick up the speed a little bit here. So moving on to number 7, we have Goldfield and Banks Bohemian Lime. I reviewed this on a more recent video, but now I have notes. So let's see. This is an Australian perfume that's an ode to Byron Bay. I was recently in Byron Bay at the beginning of 2020, and let me tell you, this does give off massive Byron Bay vibes. So let me find some empty real estate on my hand. So we've got notes of Australian finger lime, coriander, vetiver, cedarwood, sandalwood, and yeah, it smells like you're walking through an Australian forest of like citrus trees. It smells like you've just come off the beach in Byron and you're like rinsing off from the surf and you're about to maybe go out to dinner. Like, it definitely has that like zesty Byron Bay smell. I mentioned in this previous video that when this dries down, it smells almost identical to Drakkar Noir. So if those of you that love Drakkar Noir, I mean, not identical, but very, very, very similar. Those of you guys that love Drakkar Noir, if you want something similar but like with a new spin on it, definitely check out this fragrance. So that's number 7, Goldfield and Banks Bohemian Lime. Moving on to number 8, Imaginary Authors Slow Explosions. This fragrance is extremely challenging. This is very affronting to the senses, and that is the reason why it's on my list of fragrances that are blowing my mind, because I can't figure this fragrance out, and I've been trying for a couple of years since it came out. I can't figure it out. So I recently watched, I don't know if it was, it might have been an older review, but Ouch, what's his name? Ouch Smelly 110, I think is his channel name. He does awesome reviews, and I actually pulled out this sample. This is like the 5th sample I've had of this. And I pulled it out and I smelled it while he was reviewing it, and he was like dead on. So I'm probably not gonna do as good of a job as him. I've been doing this for a week. He's been doing it for like 7 years. So bear with me, but it's really hard to pinpoint this fragrance. It's really hard. So it has notes of saffron, rose absolute, leather, apple, benzoin, cashmerean, and Arpora Night Market. And it's, like I said, it's just an affront. It's an assault, I should say. So, like, right when you smell it, it's like, it makes you want to vomit. It's the smell of like leather, burnt rubber tires, and like cat puke all rolled into one. And then like immediately the rose kind of comes up and like smacks you in the face. And then you get the saffron. Like, it literally changes every 5 seconds. It's so overwhelming. It's like the perfect fragrance for someone with ADD, because it's the most attention deficit disorder fragrance I've ever met in my life. And I think that's what makes it, this is like a true masterpiece, right? It's so confusing. Now what am I smelling? Apple, the benzoin. It's like, you know what this reminds me of? Remember that scene in Willy Wonka, like the original Willy Wonka movie, when they're like going through that tunnel in that boat, and there's just like so many images flashing and lights, and it's like it's hard to even just keep up with the present moment. Like, that's what this fragrance feels like. So the reason why it's on my list of fragrances that are blowing my mind is because it's the most confusing, most overwhelming fragrance I've ever smelled in my life. And I think that if you have any interest in fragrance and you're all curious about like scent composition and how everything is put together, you definitely need to sniff this, because I've never smelled anything like it in my life. So that's my review on that. Okay, number 9, FLEUR ANORANZA. I've also previously mentioned this. This was my fragrance that I wore over the weekend, wine tasting in Fredericksburg. It was a gorgeous scent to wear for some spring wine tasting. I'm obsessed with this. I'll just quickly review this since I reviewed it in a previous video. This has jasmine, mint, mariposa, rum, bourbon, and vetiver. I can barely smell it over the slow explosions. This is gorgeous. It's primarily a jasmine mint fragrance, but then it has like the rum, the bourbon, and the vetiver that pretty much come up in the dry down, but they're also like very supportive of the jasmine and the mint notes throughout the entirety of the fragrance. So I highly recommend this. It has great lasting power. Ooh, I got it dirty. And it's just a beautiful, I mean, this pairs with a sundress beautifully, like beautiful. Love this, masterpiece, absolute masterpiece. Okay, moving on to number 10, Ulrich Lang. I am always thinking I'm butchering names. Ulrich Lang, Lethe? Leche? This one has a unique scent memory for me. So this one has bergamot, lavender, cedarwood, water lily, cashmere wood, musk, amber, tonka bean, and vanilla. And I got this in my olfactif box, I think like either at the end of last summer or like September, October. And I sprayed it one time, and then I brought it with me. I went up to Maine, either in September or October. No, I went in October. My grandmother passed away in September, and she had lived in Massachusetts, and I went up in October for the funeral. That's what it was. And I took a little road trip up to Maine, up to Portland, to see my stepbrother and his wife. And then I took a boat over to Monhegan Island, and I spent a couple of days with my future mother-in-law at her house. She has a summer house in Monhegan Island, which, if you don't know about Monhegan Island, like, it is so cool. It's so cool. That's a whole nother video. But anyways, this scent will now always remind me of Monhegan. Yeah, it'll remind me of like hiking around the island, watching the lobster boat come in with our lobsters. It's a beautiful, it's such a, like a beautiful sweater fragrance, but not like middle of December sweater, like those first kind of chilly nights in fall, maybe even like a kind of chilly night in the summer in New England. Like this is just such a beautiful fragrance. The lavender is mainly what I get, like the lavender and the tonka bean, but also the cashmere wood and the musk. This is really good. I feel like I need to get a full bottle of this. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I kind of want to try it out in the summer too, because I feel like this might actually smell really good in the heat as well. Oh, yeah, that's good stuff. Okay, that was number 10, ULRICH Lang Lethe. Leche? Leafy? I don't know. All right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. This is gonna be a really long video. Okay, number 11 is one that I just realized there's 2 of these as I was gathering my samples and decants and bottles together to film this video. There are a couple that I realized I'm completely out of, which is such a bummer because these are definitely like my top favorite fragrances right now that I have, right? So number 11 is by one of my favorite house, ARQUISTE, and it's called Architects Club. And this has notes of juniper berry oil, angelica root, lemon peel oil, pepper wood, Gaiac wood, oak wood, vanilla absolute, and amber. Now, primarily this is like a smoky vanilla scent that opens up with like a zest of like, it smells like a gin cocktail at the very, very, very top within like the first 3 minutes. And then it quickly starts to envelop, it quickly starts to develop into this like beautiful, beautiful woody, smoky, vanilla, like warm, comforting, beautiful, delicious scent. Again, because I like to create my experience with scent, I went to Queenstown in the summer of 2019, in August, Queenstown, New Zealand, and we stayed in this beautiful, like luxury Airbnb lodge thing with just these gorgeous mountains. It was called like Jack's Point, I think, literally right in our backyard, like beautiful mountains coming up. And we were going skiing every day, we were going wine tasting, like we were having the best time ever. And I brought this because I thought it would fit the mood, and hell yes it did. We had like this gorgeous fireplace in our lodge, and like it was, I could not have picked a better fragrance for this trip. So now every time I smell it, I just immediately am transported back to like cold wintry nights in Queenstown, New Zealand, like being sore from skiing, bundling up in front of a fire with friends, playing the guitar, having a glass of wine. Like it was gorgeous. Moving on to number 12, DS and Durga Jasmine Yucatan. I mentioned this in a previous video, so I won't go too much into this. I need a full bottle of this, like so bad. I need it, I need it, I need it. Like I need so many full bottles right now that I don't know what to do first, and that's part of my like problem. That's part of my hesitation on so many of these bottles, is I just feel like there's one I need more. I think this is the one that I need the most, maybe. This is a gorgeous scent. It has notes of water, passion flower, bergamot, jasmine yucateco, sambac, which is jasmine, clove, snake plant, vetiver, and copal. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. If you want more of a deeper review on this, go back and watch, I believe it was my very first video on this channel, to get like my full review of this fragrance. Moving on to number 13, this is something I don't currently have in my possession. I've blown through a gajillion samples and half of a full bottle. And this is by a house that literally no one talks about on YouTube. Like no one. And I feel a little bit like I could be the gatekeeper if I held back, but like I feel like everyone needs to know about these. These are clean, natural fragrances that are gorgeous, and it's hard to pick my favorite from this house, but there's something about this fragrance that does something to me. So it's called FIELE SANTALUM, and it's a sandalwood absolute from New Caledonia. So this type of sandalwood is like very creamy, very round, and it's got other notes of jasmine, orris root, tobacco, patchouli, tonka bean, cedarwood, agarwood, bergamot, espresso, and musk. And the creator of these fragrances uses all natural materials, so it's super clean. They're beautifully blended. They're very like earthy, very quiet, subtle, like they're just gorgeous. If you ever went through a period in your life where you were just like burning Nag Champa and you like to just use shea butter as moisturizer and you really appreciated these just like natural scents, you're gonna love this. But at the same time, it also smells very upgraded, very bougie almost, very like, they're very refined. They're just absolutely gorgeous. It's like when us former hippies grow up, like this is the house for us. This is it. This is it. I'll do a full review actually of this entire house because I'm obsessed with them and I really want more people to know about them. I don't know why more people don't talk about them. I discovered them a long time ago. It was like 2016, so it's not like they're a new house. But yeah, FIELE, you gotta check them out. Okay, number 14 is another decant that I just realized about 30 minutes ago I'm out of, which is traumatizing because I'm obsessed with this scent. It's another one by the house Imaginary Authors. It's called Memoirs of a Trespasser. This is another like really warm vanilla scent, perfect for vanilla lovers. It's got Madagascar vanilla, Gaiac wood, myrrh, benzoin resin, ambrette seeds, and oak barrels. And it's a very like boozy vanilla, perfect for like winter nights, gathering around a fire, sweater weather. Like it's just it's gorgeous. And it's also very unique. I've never smelled anything like it. Actually, when I smelled Architects Club for the first time, I was like, oh, this kind of smells like Memoirs of a Trespasser. They're a little bit similar in their DNA, but I've never smelled anything that's ever been able to replicate. I don't know if people are trying, but I've never smelled anything similar to any of Imaginary Authors' fragrances. I think he does a very good job of creating very unique concoctions, and that's one of the things that I love the most about this house. But Imaginary Authors, Memoirs of a Trespasser. It was one of his original, so when he first launched, I'm gonna tell this story in a future video, but I actually met Josh Myers like as he was launching his fragrance house back in 2000, I think it was 2010 or 2011. I met him in this tiny little shop in Portland and he was like just getting started and he was like, come smell my perfumes, and like we chatted for a bit, and I think he released like 7 to start and Memoirs was one of them, and in my opinion it was the best of the first round of release. And yeah, it's just really, really good, and I'm glad he hasn't gotten rid of it because some of them he's discontinued from that first round, but this one I think will stay forever because it's just so, so good. Okay, moving on to the very last one. This is my all-time favorite fragrance, literally all time. Like people ask can you pick like your very favorite fragrance that outshines every single other one. This is it. And some of you are going to be upset when I say this because I know that there are a lot of fragrance reviewers that do not like this fragrance. And then there are some of us who think it's like God's gift to perfume, right? And so I would love for you guys to guess in the comments if you know what I'm going to say. This fragrance I have never owned a full bottle of. I have never owned a decant of. I have only worn it for 1 week, if that, of my life, and it was more than 10 years ago, and it is still my #1 fragrance. I have not bought a full bottle because a full bottle is like $400, and I have not been able to find samples or decants anywhere online, anywhere, like not even on Mercari. I even asked I'm in this fragrance group on Facebook with like 25,000 people in it, and I begged and pleaded on my hands and knees for someone to make me a decant of this, and for some reason it's just not happening. However, I just noticed that FragranceNet just got some testers and decants. I don't know about testers, but they got some decants and samples back on their website. Of course, they sold out within 24 hours, so I didn't see the notification soon enough, but I think that that means that maybe the house is gonna start releasing more, or I can just like bite the bullet and buy the $400 bottle. I just know as soon as I have this on me, I'm going to wear it all day, every day, and I'm gonna blow through the bottle super fast. So, was that enough build up? Here is the name of the fragrance. It is a fragrance by the house Serge LUTENS, and it is called Fion Agui, and it is my absolute favorite fragrance of all time. There was my life before I smelled Fion Agui, and there's my life after. There was literally a split. Like, it was a fork in the road. I'm doing a whole video about it that I'm gonna be posting on the channel within the next couple of weeks. This fragrance has notes of pine needles, sap, laurel, fir balsam, frankincense, candied fruit, spice, and if you know, you know. It literally smells like you're walking through Narnia. This scent makes time stand still for me. It makes me feel like everything is gonna be okay. It makes me feel like everything's gonna be more than okay. Like, this scent gives me hope. This scent like reinvigorates my motivation to see the beauty in everything. So Serge Lutens Fille d'Anagui, I always say it wrong, it's Fille d'Anagui or Fianagui, something like that. I'll put the correct text below. Yeah, if you haven't smelled this yet, I don't know what to tell you because you can't really get your hands on a sample. So you might have to physically go to a Serge Lutens shop, which I don't think they even exist in the US, maybe in New York, maybe in LA, I don't know. But if you've smelled it, then you know what I'm talking about. So that's gonna wrap up the 15 of my most fragrances that are blowing my mind the most. This was a really fun list to put together. I could not wait to film this. And if you have any questions about any of the fragrances I mentioned, or if you have any comments, or if you want to add any to the list, please do so in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts on all of these things. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I would love your support. Thank you so much for those of you that have already subscribed as I begin this journey of being a fragrance reviewer on YouTube. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.